Hey and welcome back guys, I'm TLR and we are too far ahead in the video, oopsies. Yes, I'm TLR and here we are for the Week 5 team builder of the PDL. We are going to be facing Scrawn in the San Diego Salandits. You can see his team on the right hand side of this screen. So, very powerful team indeed, consisting of threats like Mega Caesar and Azumarill, things that can set up and be a threat. So, this week, we're going to be playing a little bit differently. If you can see our team, we're actually going to be running a very bulky team this week, so more of a balanced type team. Let's just hop right. Actually, let me go over the Pokemon in case you don't know what these Pokemon are. I mean, Tangela isn't used very much, I know you, but yeah, we're going to be bringing Clefable, Bronzong, Zapdos, Tangela, Gengar, your boy LeBron, always coming back. I mean, he's just a good Pokemon, and once you see his set, I think you'll agree that he deserves a spot in the team this week, and Mega Gyarados. So, yes, let's jump into the sets. Okay, first Pokemon is Clefable. So as I did mention, Mega Caesar and Azumarill are two very big threats that can set up, and if they set up, I could easily just lose right there. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So that's where Unaware Clefable comes in. That we're going to be running Unaware Clefable because that can take a hit from any of those setup sweepers, like Azumarill and Mega Caesar, and beat them in return. We're actually going to be running the Fire EMZ. I was contemplating leftovers, but I think the surprise factor of Fire EMZ is going to probably give me a lot of momentum because um, Caesar and Magnezone are going to be his initial switch-ins to my Clefable, right? I'd assume. And Fire EMZ, it will show you the calc right here. Even without any special attack investment against a very bulky Mega Caesar, it's a guaranteed OHKO. Caesar is not going to like taking that at all. And then, of course, Moonblast is a nice stab. I opted for the last two moves to be Wish and Protect because there wasn't really another move he needed. He only really needs Moonblast and Flamethrower's attacks. We've got Stealth Rock on Bronzong, which we'll get to in a sec. So I decided the reliable recovery, obviously I do want that on Clefable, so I went for Wish over Moonlight because Soft Boiled isn't legal on Unaware Clef. But yeah, I opted to go for Wish because the ability to pass wishes into my partner Pokemon seems more, uh, seems like it could be more useful than any other move I would want to use over Protect and then like make Wish Moonlight instead. So it also does give me a little bit more PP. So if I need to, if it gets to that point, I can try to PP stall something by wishing and protecting continuously. So yep, Clefable, very straightforward. As you can see, the EV's very straightforward. This just allows me to take on those physical setup sweepers like Azumarill and Caesar to the best of my ability with just 12 points spent to Spadef. That allows Clefable to easier check Latias if my opponent does decide to run Psychic on Latias, then Clefable can also serve as a check to that as well. So next up is going to be Bronzong, running the set we all know and love at this point, the Agua Berry with Recycle. So far, we haven't actually been able to use that yet, but I do hope we can use it this week. So, Gyro Ball, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, and Recycle. So, Recycle with the Agua Berry. Hopefully, we can actually showcase this set. I hope it can actually do work. Stealth Rock because when I'm playing a balanced style, I do want to pressure my opponent to switch less often. And when my opponent does switch, getting that chip damage from the Stealth Rock is, of course, very nice. Earthquake is there because it does hit stuff like Pyroar and Magnezone pretty hard. By the way, I guess I should note the Heatproof ability. We're going to be running Heatproof over Levitate because he doesn't have any notable ground types bar Quagsire, and Bronzong is not going to be my initial answer to Quagsire. So I opted to go for Heatproof, so Bronzong can be like a last-ditch check to Pyroar if we do end up seeing that. So yeah, and then Earthquake has Pyroar and Magnezone, which is really important because we aren't going to be running like a Shed Shell, so we can escape from Magnezone. So I want to make sure I don't end up getting trapped and then losing to Magnezone because I can't touch it. And then of course Gyro Ball is a nice powerful stab. It hits Latias hard. It hits Azumarill decent. moderately hard. It's harder than Earthquake, although it's not like the hardest hitting move. Although Bronzong also isn't uh, our Azumarill answer. But yeah, it basically means that we can hit Azumarill for a decent chunk if it does try to switch into us. Unless it's like a minimum speed Azumarill, but I do not expect to see that. But yeah, this can check those special attackers, stuff like Latias and Pyro to an extent. It also can check some physical attackers like um, Cincino. Unless if the Cincino is not running knockoff, it doesn't really have a way to touch my Bronzong. Uh, and my Bronzong could just wall it and beat it 1v1 unless it's like King's Rock and goes for the flinches and gets it every single time. But yeah, this is going to be a nice specially defensive check to those special attackers and has nice typing to do that. So nothing too out of the ordinary there. If you see our spread, it's the same as last week. Max HP, max BDF, because I don't really need any defense to take on any of his physical attackers. That's not what this is on the team for. But that's what the Zapdos is for. Bringing back the FizzDev Zapdos with the same set as last week as well. Heat Wave, kind of self-explanatory. If you look at my opponent's team, he has the Magnezone, he has the Caesar, and Zapdos can switch into those two things. Although Magnezone, if it's choice specs, is going to be a bit harder to switch into, but being able to actually threaten those two things with, damage is nice. And then Volt Switch obviously hits stuff like Azumarill pretty hard, but it also means if my opponent tries to switch out and let's say switch into, let's say they're Latias, right? I just Volt Switch on out of there and get myself some momentum. I can go right to Clefable or Bronzong, and I don't have to give up momentum. Defog is there to clear hazards, so we don't. Since we are playing a balanced style, I don't want my bulky Pokemon getting chipped every time they have to switch in. I need to preserve my HP, so that's why we are going to be running Defog and then Roost for that reliable recovery on Zapdos. So. Yep, max HP, max defense allows us to easily take on stuff like Caesar. It allows us to also check a Belly Drum Azumarill again. While Clefable does normally beat it 1v1, crits or hazards being up or stuff like that could be a problem. So having a Zapdos to technically revenge kill it is really nice because yeah, Aqua Jet can't knock out Zapdos, and Azumarill can't outspeed Zapdos. So, yep, physically defensive Zapdos hopefully will be able to do some work this week as well, just like last week. If you saw the battle video, definitely put in a lot of work last week. So, next Pokemon is going to be Tangela. We're going to be going back to the more especially defensive spread this week with max HP and max BDF, just 4 points in defense. And this allows us to check basically all sides of the spectrum. So, like he just has, with the Eviolite, 151 SPDF and then 190 some defense, if I'm correct. Actually, he might have more. I'm not that good at math. I'm not going to try to figure out what his exact stats would be. But yeah, basically this is just an all-around good pivot into stuff like Quagsire and Amoonguss and stuff like that. Giga Drain is there for a stab move, and it has decent special attack, so it can do some good damage. Hidden Power Fire hits Magnezone, and it hits Mega Caesar, so those things can't switch in safely. Leech Seed is there, gives us another form of recovery, and can hit switch-ins like Latias if he opts to go switch into that. And then Sleep Powder is another thing that can give me a little bit of momentum. So, like, if he attempts to Swords Dance up with Caesar on my Tangela, I can put it to bed, although I don't know why I would do that over HP firing it, but yeah, you get the idea. Basically, these are all 4 moves. These 4 moves are basically give him a set that allows him to check just about everything on his team, not defensively per se, as in, oh, I can just switch Tangela right into Mega Caesar. I probably wouldn't do that because of the threat of U-turn or even Bug Bite. Or knockoff even. I wouldn't want Tangela losing its Eviolite. But it allows it to safely threaten every type of switch in, right? With a certain move. So, yep, that's going to be Tangela, Regenerator ability, as always, because, we want our bulky Pokemon to still stay healthy. So, that's going to be our bulky part of the team. Clefable, Bronzong, Zapdos, and Tangela. Hopefully, those four Pokemon will be able to check everything that my opponent could hopefully try to use offensively. But obviously, we don't have a lot of offense on these four Pokemon, so that's where these next two Pokemon come into play. First up, your boy LeBron running a Hex set this week with Sludge Bomb, Will-O-Wisp, and Substitute. Going to be running the Black Sludge, so that way we can heal up just a little bit, allows us to set up multiple substitutes. And basically what this does is if he tries to switch in his Magnezone, expecting a Sludge Bomb, I can substitute, burn it with Will-O-Wisp, and then Hex is going to be doing a lot of damage. And that really applies to pretty much everything bar Pyroar. Hex does so much damage to everything that's not a normal type. And obviously, since being a physical attacker doesn't want to get burned, so being able to not only cripple physical attackers but power up my Hex, Will-O-Wisp, as long as it hits, should be able to really threaten his team. And then Sludge Bomb is nice because not only does it hit the two normal types for good damage, it also hits his fairy Azumarill for good damage, but it also has that nice 30% chance to poison. So let's say my opponent switches into Latias, and obviously Latias doesn't care too much about a burn, but we get the poison. That's extra chip every turn and a powered up Hex. So yeah, basically nothing really switches into this Gengar as long as I can play this Gengar well. We can really just reduce the number of Pokemon that can switch into it to zero, whether they get burned or sludge bombed on the switch or predicted and substituted on the switch. Yeah, that's the set. Nothing fancy about the EV spread. I did want to go with max speed because he does have that Latias. If I have a chance to be able to speed tie that, I definitely want to take it if the game does come down to that. And then just max special attack because, again, he doesn't have really good ghost resist, so I want to be doing as much damage as possible with this thing. And last but not least is going to be Gyarados. So we're finally busting out the Rest Talk Dragon Dance set on Gyarados. Intimidate ability before Mega Evolving because this will allow us to, Dragon Dance up on physical attackers a little bit easier, although he does have those physical attackers that relatively threaten Gyarados like Azumarill and Primeape. But that's why we're going to be running a very bulky spread this week. So we don't need a lot of Dragon Dances on Gyarados to sweep. We just need chip on the things that take Waterfall. So that's going to be basically mainly Azumarill. Although if Latias is like Thunderbolt, then we'll probably need to chip that as well. But if Latias only has like Draco Meteor to touch Gyarados, then that's never going to beat Gyarados without multiple crits in a row. So yeah, this is the fancy spread as you can see. We opted for 180 speed because if he decides to run Scarf Magnezone, even with max speed and Timid, we will outspeed it after a Dragon Dance. And with the defensive IVs, as you can see, if he decides to run Scarf Primeape with an Adamant Nature, he cannot Oko me with close combat. And that's at neutral. I don't even have to intimidate him to live that. So, yeah, Gyarados very, very bulky. 12 points into attack to give him as much attack as possible, and then the last 4 into Spadef since it is set to level 50. Those last 4 points would not make any use anywhere else. So, yeah, a very bulky Dragon Dance Gyarados set with Rest and Sleep Talk, so I can set up on stuff like Cresselia and Quagsire with ease. Although I do not think he would stay in with those things against the Gyarados anyway, because those things aren't really threatening Gyarados very much unless he's like running Encore Quagsire. But I mean, if he runs that, kudos to him. He got me. But yeah, this thing can run through his bulky Pokemon, and with enough Dragon Dances, it can just win the game right there. But yeah, we'd have to chip that Azumarill in order to do that, and we'd probably have to weaken Caesar as well, unless the Caesar isn't running a bug type move. Although the one thing about Caesar is that it does get the roost, so it can have reliable recovery if necessary, which makes it a bit harder to chip. But I think this set is the best set for the week because I do not think running any more offense on Gyarados is going to help. It doesn't really help us take on stuff like Azumarill and Caesar any better. And having extra coverage and stuff like Crunch, while it hits Latias doesn't threaten a ton of damage in return unless, of course, it is carrying that Thunderbolt. So basically, this thing sets up in the face of a lot of his team, and if the things that it doesn't set up in front of get chipped, then Gyarados can just win right there. So yeah, that's the team. Very very interesting team, I have to say. This is just what my brain cooked up for the week. But yeah, I do think this is the right way to play this week. I think a more balanced play style with more bulky Pokemon is um, better suited to taking on my opponent's draft. So hopefully everybody can put in work. Looking forward to the battle, which will actually take place on Saturday. There won't be a battle video there will be a battle video, but I won't be live recording it. I might be able to post commentate it, but if I can't, then of course the battle video will be posted on the Google Docs, and you can check it out there. But yeah, I won't be able to live record the battle video due to the fact that we are battling this Saturday, and also I will be attending a mid-season showdown this Saturday. So I just won't have the time to live record a video and then edit it and then upload it, because I'll be at a VGC tournament all day that day. So maybe a post commentated battle video, but if nothing else, you can always watch the battle video, uh, which will be posted on the Google Doc. Yep. So that is just about it. Let's wrap this video up. Not much more I have to say. Just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later. So goodbye for now.